But everything I have said has fallen on deaf ears. Getting access to the easement area or beach has completely overshadowed all decisions and other considerations and reviews of this application. For example, the applicant under the Land Title Act is to grant access each 250 meters to the ocean in a form of an easement. In the most recent preliminary layout review, there seems to have been about a dozen to my knowledge. The approving officer states that he's prepared to waive that requirement by means of an affidavit because the remaining 104.5 acres are A, too environmentally sensitive, would reduce the value of the applicant's property, and they're too difficult to access. Most importantly, the alternative comparable easement areas have perhaps only a 10-foot tidal variance versus the 150-foot variance at the subject area. There is no estuary, there is no registered First Nations midden, and there never was an affidavit ever signed according to the planning department. Additionally, compensation for reduction in value is not a means of seeking relief. And there are logging roads leading to the foreshore at one or more alternative places with beachheads equal to or better than the recent Mount Gardner easement area. The second reason I'm here today is because of my questions about the roadway easements, areas, etc. I got so frustrated with the planning department's complete reluctance to have any meaningful communication with me that I hired a lawyer to write a letter to inquire to council and staff. Within 48 hours, I had the following events occur. My family vehicles that have been parked in the same places since 1925 were ticketed and threats of towing continue through today. People pretending to be municipal workers have gone to our house and badgered my mother with questions about our property. She is a tenant, she is not an owner, and she is elderly. Letters demanding the removal of a boathouse on our second lot, a house built substantially long before any bylaw was enacted. I have checked with the GVRD repeatedly, as were most other houses built according to the approving officer, all predating these bylaws. How many boathouses have stood for 50 years and then the municipality sends them a registered letter? Let's search them all out. Why not? Why just mine? I've been pocket called by municipal workers. A pocket call is an accidental call from a cell phone. In that call, I will not name names at this early juncture. There was hysterical laughter, and essentially I heard voices of people plotting to, quote, screw me over. Conversation lasted about 10 minutes. I've been called and told that I'm a part-time resident and that my rights on this island are limited. Staff have accused me to my face that I've tried to take, quote, their beach away from them. The list grows daily of individuals telling me that the municipality is out to get me because I challenged the issue of the application regarding an easement area and the roadways. Lastly, practically all of the immediate area residents have written and or made verbal submissions to the municipality about road safety, environmental impact, noise, security, parking, fire concerns with no hydrants. Moreover, the area residents wonder why this vast interior area is not made into parkland and why the development is not also in part being accessed by Hood Point West as opposed to only being accessed by emergency personnel at that area. This vast tract of land is one of the last remaining opportunities on the north side of the island to provide a host of amenities to the community. So why, people ask, are you focusing on something that goes against all ecological and environmental sensitivity in a pristine, untouched ecosystem? Make it spectacular, but make it practical and balanced for people and the environment together. Statute requires that affected area residents are consulted up to the point of subdivision based on a variety of criteria. All requests for information and community input have been completely ignored. There was to be a community meeting in January at the BIM invitation. That meeting was not followed up on and it never occurred. In conclusion, you, Mayor and Council, are without an approving officer as of today, and the Deputy Approving Officer, I am told, is not well with a considerable ailment and may have a diminished capacity. There is an immediate need for Mayor and Council to intervene and oversee staff and process. I expect my legitimate concerns to be investigated, and I expect you to have your staff cease and desist from harassing me and my family. and anyone else in the Woods Road community. Thank you very much for hearing me today.
Mr. C, do you have a copy of that letter? Our next speaker is Susanna Brond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors. I've come here today to commend to you my letter about TransLink, which is item 11.1 on your agenda. It's an item I've given long thought to, but I also have had a conversation with Peter King, who thinks that my central idea in the letter is workable. I'd also like to take this opportunity, though, to say a few comments about what has happened since the new council has taken up office. I have been dismayed by your conduct in council meetings. I would have to say, with all due respect, that I don't think it's appropriate to take a cell phone call in the middle of a council meeting, Mr. Mayor. And I've been also dismayed by decisions that you've made so far, for example, setting up an unelected advisory committee on finance.
This is the place to make those comments. You're not to make any personal comments on councillors or the mayor for that matter. So if you've got something to say that relates to the agenda or something that you want to bring forward for us to look at, that's one thing. But do not criticize councillors and the mayor. That's not what this
would be nice not to have to.
For.
I wanted to make the point that I am upset by your decision to create an unelected advisory committee on finance when you, of all people, with all your skills in business, accountancy and finance, would seem to have the necessary skills. I'm attending the meeting today to encourage you to fulfill the promises that you made at your election, to take positive action for the benefit of the community. I know you spent some time this morning thinking about the community centre, and I'm thrilled about that, and I would just commend to you my letter about TransLink and hope that you might be able to take action on that as well, because that would also benefit the community. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anne Frank Ferrier. Your worship. Speaker is Bill Newport.
Mayor, council, staff. On item 6 today on your agenda is to talk about the letter from the bylaw officer regarding Ed's operation of the horizontal tub grinder. In your supplemental agenda and in the original agenda is a series of letters that are in opposition of zoning. Now, your item 6 is not talking about zoning. It's talking about a possible workaround for the horizontal tub grinder. So it's kind of a question that I have to council, since I will be speaking on behalf of Ed on item 6. If you are going to take into consideration all those letters that talk about zoning, which is not on the agenda, then I would like to speak to them. And I have printed paper that I can give to everybody, but I don't think now's the time to talk about that, and that should be at a zoning public hearing. So we don't have to discuss that. But if you are going to bring up all of those letters at this time, then I would like to be able to talk to it either now or when item 6 comes up. So it's kind of a question to council.
So I'll just ask the corporate officer here. So the that correspondence that's attached to item 6, it does really deal more with the zoning application than it does.
I think it depends how council also wants to deal with Mr. Weismiller's correspondence today.
Yeah.
I mean, at the least they can just receive that correspondence, but I would suggest just wait until discussion regarding item number 6.1 is brought up.
Okay. And then will Mr. Newport be able to speak to that?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's it for our public speakers. We have next on the agenda Will Hilson, our manager of engineering and operations.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Report I've got today is essentially it's a follow-up from a report that was prepared in November 2011. Specifically, we'll be bringing the terms of reference for the Solid Waste Resource Management Advisory Committee forward. So I did include as part of the package the November 9th, 2011 reports for reference. This report was received at the November 14th, 2011 council meeting, essentially describing Bowen Island's 2012 Solid Waste Resource Management Program and the actions to be considered for the 2012 to 2016 financial plan. Bowen Island's Solid Waste Resource Management Plan is evolving to meet the goals of Metro Vancouver's Integrated Solid Waste and Resource Management Plan, which was approved by the province in July of 2011. It has 4 main goals. Goal 1 is to minimize waste reduction. Goal 2 is to maximize reuse, recycling, and material recovery. Goal 3 is to recover energy from the waste stream after material recovery. And goal 4 is to dispose of all remaining waste in landfill after material recycling and energy recovery. It's clear municipal support is necessary to achieve goals 1 and 2, which focus on reducing the quantity of per capita waste generated to 90% or less of 2010 volumes, and on increasing the regional diversion rate from an average of 55% to a minimum of 70% by 2015. Part of Metro Vancouver's program includes the banning of food scraps from garbage by January 1st, 2013. So I won't go through them here, but there are a number of resolutions in the November 9th reports. Essentially 3 resolutions that were moved and seconded and that I'm bringing forward today. So resolution it's resolution CW11-084. The committee as a whole recommends that council endorse recommendations 2, 3, and 7 as written in the Solid Waste Resource Management Plan Program Update report dated November 9th, 2011. Now this report essentially is talking about recommendation 2, which would be form of Solid Waste Resource Management Advisory Committee by January 2012, with the terms of reference and committee membership to be determined through discussion between staff and volunteer groups and through council. Obviously it's February, so the things must go on. So we've got the terms of reference, which has been included as part of this report. I'll now go on to discuss the terms of reference. And I'll read through the terms.
Wills, just page number 10. Oh,
so in developing a solid waste and resource management plan, Bowen Island Municipal Council has identified the need to form an advisory committee. Solid waste in Bowen Island is currently managed under contract to the municipality by Bowen Waste Service. It currently performs regular weekly pickup of garbage, seasonal weekly pickup of yard waste, triennial removal of bulky material that cannot be picked up as regular garbage, and the removal of centrally collected recycled materials. All waste materials are currently delivered to appropriate sites in the Metro Vancouver area. Removal of land clearing debris, bulky waste, and construction demolition debris is carried out by several private contractors. Metro Vancouver air quality regulations limit burning of land clearing debris and prohibit burning of construction demolition debris. Bowen municipal bylaws prohibit the transport of land clearing waste off property for burning. The Bowen Island Recycling Depot provides Bowen residents a recycling drop-off facility, and reusable items are brought to and sold by the Nick Nack Nook Reused Store. In general, there is a high level of awareness and interest in recycling. As well, Zero Waste Bowen has conducted a considerable amount of work aided by municipal staff and consultants to research options with an emphasis on organic resource recovery.